It is just a pictorial representation that is in a better way so that you can understand how which bone is moving. We see ball and socket over here, ball and socket joint. You see the ball is fitting into the socket, and in this way the movement could be brought about. Then we have a hinge joint. Just like a hinge, the movement could be brought about. You see there is this joint is present between the humerus, they have shown, and this is the particular point. This is the joint that we are talking about. This pink part and this is the joint, synovial joint, that we are representing. Then we have the pivot joint. You see over here, this is radius and ulna. This movement that you could bring about, this sort of movement that could be brought about, that is pivot joint, and this purple part is the pivot joint. We see so many joints, synovial joints, all the types of synovial joints which are present inside our arm only. Then we have the saddle joint. You see the saddle joint, it is between this and this one. So, this one you are moving, that is a saddle joint, and as you can see, this part happens to be saddle. What type of movement could be brought about? All inside or backwards, all inside or backwards. My finger, this one has been though dislocated, so I cannot show you in a proper way. You can do it yourself and understand what saddle joint is all about. We have a carpal bone and we have a metacarpal bone, that is the example. Then we did discuss about hinge joint. Then we have a plane joint. You can just skip what plane joint is, but you can see over here that it is between the carpal bones. Now, what are the carpal bones? These ones. These are the carpal bones, and we just simply say that we don't get into detail of carpal bones. There is plane joint that is present. Now, the last one is condylar joint that is present between our phalanges. Each phalange would have these metacarpal bones are going to have the condylar joints, and the movement would also be somewhat similar to that of the saddle joint, but there won't be four directions. This sort of metacarpal bone and phalanx, these phalanges, they are being joined by the condylar joint. So, we have the different types of joints which are present in our limbs itself, and I hope it is quite clear by now that our skeletal system is having different types of joints, out of which synovial joints are important, and our syllabus confines us to understand the different types of joints which are synovial joints and how the movement is brought about by those joints. The name tells maximum about the joint, that what the joint would be all about. Try to decipher the meaning from the name itself, like supposedly it is ball and socket, so you can imagine how a ball can move if it is kept in a socket. If it is a saddle joint, you can imagine with that as well. If it is a pivot joint, what movement could be brought about if the pivot is being put. So, the names itself, they are having not many, but the actual content is being described in the name itself, simple name, and you have to learn the examples as well. I would urge you not to get into this much detail of every example. Try to understand the examples in such a way so that you have understood the concept in a better way, and then it will be easier for you to understand all the joints. So, this is all about joints and how these synovial joints are able to bring about movement and assist in locomotion of an organism.